Welcome back, everyone. Today, as you probably guessed, we are going over this pistol right here. This is new as of when I'm recording this video anyway. It's a Smith and Wesson M&P 22 Magnum. It came out a few days ago as of when you guys are probably seeing this, and we've put some rounds through it, and we're going to report back on that. But before we do all of that, before we head out to the range, show you guys that footage, I just want to talk about what the heck it is. Well, it is a full-size gun chambered in a rimfire cartridge, which is a little bit odd. 22 Magnum, and I think there's some reasons for that. We'll definitely get into that here in a little bit, but it also gives you some advantages that other offerings don't have. So with that, I suppose we'll just kind of start here at the bottom and work our way up. It does come, for people out there who don't run YouTube channels, it will come with two 30-round magazines. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, this is a YouTube sample, so of course the magazines are blocked for 25 rounds for compliance with YouTube policies. It does have grip texturing down there on the bottom, and there is a good bit of space there on the base plate itself. So as you guys can see, if you had a double feed or something like that, I mean, you can grab onto that very firmly, grip and rip if you need to do so. Continuing on up there on the pistol, the frame itself has a very similar texture to what you'd see on the Smith & Wesson M&P 5.7, which we will get to a little bit here in the video. And before I go on any further than that, I should mention this is going to be a Mug Club episode. So basically you guys are going to see the review here on YouTube and Rumble. Then we're going to go over to Mug Club and do some exclusive content for members over there. We're going to do gel tests with 22 Magnum as well as 5.7. We're going to talk about the pros and cons of each, because there definitely are pros and cons, especially ballistically, things like that. We'll talk about all that. Then we'll answer some chats that viewers have sent in over the past week. And again, there's a lot of other folks on Mug Club creating content. Steven Crowder, Brian Callen, Nick DiPaolo, others are coming on board as well. And it's a place that we can go and not have to worry about YouTube censoring what we talk about. So if you guys are interested in that, there will be a link on your screen here. Also a code to get you guys a free month of membership. So back into the pistol, like I was saying, very similar grip to the 5.7. However, it is not the same. We'll show you that here in just a second. This one here has a frame mounted safety. That's what Smith & Wesson sent out. From what I've seen online, they have non-frame mounted safety versions. However, it is ambidextrous. If you guys are into safeties, which I think compared to like a 9mm or something like that, a disproportionate amount of people who are interested in 22 Magnum will probably want a thumb safety. My personal opinion, it's absolutely not needed. And one thing I like about it is that it's very hard to put on without shifting your grip. So with a firing grip, I'm literally trying right now to put it on. I can't. So that is good. So I have to take my non-firing hand and push up on it, or come up like that and push up on it. So the chances that it will be accidentally actuated are pretty darn low, so it is well engineered in that regard. That said, to put it off is very easy. So from a safety design, it is a good design. Continuing on up to the grip itself, it is standard M&P grip angle, which is very similar to 1911s. If you guys like that grip angle, then you're probably gonna like this one as well. Grip size on this is large, but it's not too large. And what I mean by that is, one thing we need to compare it to is, of course, the Smith & Wesson M&P 5.7, which has been a tremendously popular pistol. These things are pretty much always sold out. And they've been out for a while now. So it shows you somebody likes the design. But basically, you guys might be able to see that there. It's about probably 2mm longer in the frame for the Smith & Wesson 5.7. That just has to do with the round itself being a little bit longer, and the magazine design. Of course, the 5.7 mag is going to be steel, whereas this one here is a polymer magazine. Additionally, I should note, this is a internally hammer-fired gun. We'll talk about that when we take it apart, but if you're just looking in the magway, you can see the actual hammer spring in there. The slide release and takedown lever are ambidextrous, as is the magazines themselves, or as are, I should say, the magazines themselves. So they are cut for ambidextrous. However, your actual mag release is going to be on one side of the pistol only. It's super easy to reverse it if you want to, if you're a left-handed shooter. As I've said a million times on this channel, that is how I prefer it. I do not like ambidextrous safeties, particularly for guns that anyone might be carrying. If you're leaning against something, if you're sitting in a car, whatever the case may be, and you have an ambi mag release, it's quite possible that it could get bumped, and at that point you will have a one-shot firearm, which is not something you want in a serious use gun. So yeah, easily reversible, so you left-handed people can easily swap it out to your liking. Continuing on up, we do have an undercut there on the trigger guard, which is nice. You can get very high on this gun. Not that recoil is a problem at all, which you probably noticed throughout the intro, but just in terms of pistol design, it's a good design. That's how it should be. You should be able to get high on all guns, both up here under the trigger guard, then up here on the back strap here. And in both regards, you can do so very well on this pistol. So I do dig that. The trigger itself is going to be has a dingus style safety, as Tim would say over at the Military Arms channel. So it has this safety right here. If that safety isn't pushed in, then the actual trigger itself will not fire, because as you can see there, it actually hits the back of the frame if you don't do that. So it has an over travel stop built into the frame and the trigger blade itself. So in terms of trigger press, it's pretty darn good. So basically there is your wall. At that point, you're braking right about 5.5 pounds on my scale. And again, it's not a striker fired gun. It is an internally hammer fired gun. And the reset a little bit long on that. And then the brake again. In terms of shootability, the trigger is absolutely fine. There's nothing problematic about it at all. If you can shoot pistols, you will be able to shoot this one fine. There's nothing you have to overcome with the trigger. Is it going to win awards? Probably not, but it's certainly better than some out there on the market as well. One potential con that I could see of this firearm, and the same would be true on the 5.7 version of it, is that the trigger guard itself is relatively small. So if you're using gloves or something like that, if you live in an environment where that might be the case, it's something to look into. Additionally, continuing on forward, we do have a full-size rail on there. So any of your lights, lasers, etc. that you want to mount on there, you'll be able to do so, and you have plenty of real estate to do that. One thing I mentioned in the 5.7 M&P video is that I thought was a little bit weird in it, is that you can actually see through the gun. And this is not new for Smith & Wesson and the M&P series. Pretty much all of them have actually been like that. But looking through the side, I'm not sure if I can roll in photos or anything like that, but we'll let you guys see it. But there's not like a tight lockup. Like a lot of guns, everything's kind of smushed down so that way nothing can get in there. The M&Ps don't have that. That said, I've never had any reliability problems at all with Smith & Wesson M&P pistols, just as a general statement from a design perspective. So there is that. Continuing on up to the slide here, it is Armornite finish, which is Smith & Wesson's version of Melanite. Super durable, super corrosion resistant. It gives you good surface hardness as well. I don't think there's a whole lot of people that are going to have any durability issues with this particular firearm. Continuing on to the rear, we have a blacked out rear sight, which is my preference. A lot of folks like that as well. It has that square notch, and then right up front we have a fiber optic sight, but it is protected by the steel that surrounds the fiber optic sight. So for those who don't know, I would imagine there's probably actually a lot of people watching this who are new to firearms. Fiber optic sights, not the most durable. They absolutely can fall out, shoot out. With time, they all will, in my experience. That said, you can literally order packs of these for $3 on eBay, and very easy to replace them. The pro of that fiber optic is that it really does grab your eye, especially during daylight shooting. It really gives you a good focal point. It kind of is like the old school version of a red dot. Speaking of that, the slide is cut for optics. So it is cut for the Shield RMS, RMS-C footprint. So a ton of your optics that you guys like, your Holosun EPS carry, the Vortex CCW Defender, and lots and lots and lots of other optics will fit on there just fine with a direct mount to the slide. So a lot of people out there argue on the internet between plates and mounting to the slide. I would say as a general rule, mounting to the slide is more secure. There's just less failure points. In the Shield RMSC pattern, RMSC. There's two different patterns, but they're kind of the same, but they're kind of different. That's a video for another day. Anyway, those are so popular now that I really don't think you're having to sacrifice anything by not having a plate system, and there's so many good options out there as well. Back here on the slide, the rear of the slide, rather I should say, we do have the serrations. They're very, very good. It also has those little wings at the back that HK came out with probably 10 years ago now, and a lot of other companies are using because it does help. If you're somebody who has arthritic hands, if you're just not naturally strong, if you're elderly, whatever the case may be, it gives you a good area to grip onto and run the slide, and it's easier than certainly most centerfire guns would be. At this point, if you guys just saw me pulling the slide back, I'm not sure what you can see there, but there's something going on with that barrel that's not quite standard, and it is Smith & Wesson's Tempo barrel. So I suppose with that, to show you that point a bit, let's get into disassembly. So of course, we're going to make sure our pistol is unloaded, and it is. At this point, there is a notch here in the slide that you guys can probably see. And what we're going to do is line that up with the actual point where it shows coming across on the firearm. Very similar to a lot of like FN high power, if you're familiar with that. It will be a very similar takedown. And we're just going to push this little pin through. There we go. And our slide release lever will come out. You do not have to press the trigger to disassemble the firearm. Looking in there, you guys should be able to see that that is our hammer there in the rear. Again, internal hammer fired gun. It's a pretty simple design overall. Not a whole lot of fanciness going on. It does have the recoil spring and guide rod all together. It is a stainless steel guide rod, which I know a lot of you guys will like. And then to take our barrel out, we're just going to push forward and then pull up and out. Looking inside the actual slide itself, you guys are going to see there's not a lot of machine marks. It's very, very well done, as you would expect from Smith and Wesson. That is your striker safety right there at the rear. Interestingly, it is polymer, so it's a polymer striker safety. I don't know of any other guns I've seen that on, at least not to date anyway. That said, it has the tempo barrel system that we alluded to earlier. So it's a gas system on a handgun. Basically, that is the inner sleeve that the actual, the projectile rather, will go down, that little piece right there. And then there is a gas port right there at the end. And then these rings out there regulate the gas as it actually cycles. And then it sits in this sleeve right here. If you look into the actual chamber area there, you'll see that we do have a good feed ramp in there for feeding any type of hollow points, or in the case of 22 Magnum, just weird shaped projectiles that are out there. So it certainly is designed to do that just fine. And one thing that just is a little bit different than the 5.7 version of it is, if you look right here, if we can do that, you'll see that is actually rotating. The barrel sleeve rotates out as a delay mechanism. On the 22 Magnum version here, it absolutely does not do that. It basically just delays it a touch. If we could do that, there you go. So that's the travel right there. That little bit, I'm not sure if you guys can actually even see that. That little bit of travel is all it does until it comes out right there. Very, very short, and just a slight delay that does help with the recoil, which certainly isn't a lot with 22 Magnum regardless, but it does help. So let's wait until this helicopter goes by and then we'll reassemble it. I think the helicopter's far enough away we can get into reassembly, so of course we're going to want to insert our sleeve into it there. You want to make sure that your feed ramp is facing up here where the recoil lug is. If you do it the other way, it will not go back together. So if you're trying to put it together and you don't know why it's not going back together, there is your clue. All right, so you're going to seat it in like that. At this point, the steel piece that sticks out where it is painted red is going to go towards the chamber. The other end is going to go forward. We're going to push down and in until it sits flush like that. At this point, we're going to have the internals of the rail ride over this rail here on the rear. And so we're going to line everything up and lock it back. And at this point, looking through the side there, we can actually just put this piece in there, and it will not go all the way through, as you guys can see, until we actually bring the slide back to the point where that cutout is in the slide and where it mates up. And then at that point, I'll try to do it so you guys can see. There you go. I had to wiggle it in there because we're trying to do it at a weird camera angle. So that is reassembly. At this point, we're going to pull back, point in safe direction, hold the trigger back, cycle the slide, release, and your pistol is reassembled and passed the functions check. At this point in the video, we've covered most of the important details with a couple exceptions. First one is going to be price point. Smith & Wesson typically delivers on that, and as you would expect, this one here is competitively priced. Basically, I think the MSRP on it right now is like $659. If you guys follow my social media, you guys will already have seen that I've posted several times where it has been under $600 shipped. So that is a pretty good price point, in my opinion, for the feature set of the gun that you get. Now, the next thing that we need to talk about is going to be reliability. I've watched a lot of people's reviews at this point, and it seems that everyone's reporting, except for one, is reporting very good reliability. Well, that simply just hasn't been the case, unfortunately, for me. And we're going to talk about what happened and then why I think that might be, and then maybe what we're going to do going forward with that. So let's check out the first magazine that I tried to put through this firearm. First mag. Malfunction. Failure to feed. Malfunction, failure, looks like to extract. Let's find out. Yeah, failure to extract. Lock back. As you can see, we certainly had some issues with reliability in that first mag, and I just want to show this first off. This is the ammunition that we've been running throughout the entire video. It is the CCI Maxi Mag target, rated for 1,875 feet per second. Of course, that's out of a rifle barrel. But we only had this on hand. We reached out to the folks at Firearms Depot to get this out, and they did send it out, so we appreciate their support with that for the ammo. They're supplying basically everything besides 9mm here on the channel ammo-wise, so we appreciate that. But that is what we got out. And basically, as soon as I ran the first 2 mags, and in the second mag, I had a bunch of malfunctions as well. A little bit sluggish there. Failure to extract. 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 Pop back. I jumped online and looked real quick because I remember reading in the owner's manual that it said something about ammunition. It said quite a few things about ammunition actually, and we'll roll those in here so you guys can see it on your screen. And basically I was concerned with this type of ammunition. I was like, did I get the wrong type of ammunition? Because it's basically saying you want jacketed ammunition and things like that. I would imagine that's because of the tempo barrel system, and they don't want things to actually shave off as it goes through the barrel. Regardless, this ammunition, according to what it says in the manual, should be good to go. So then I was thinking, well, maybe it's the magazines, because one thing that you see with any type of rimfire gun is that we have staggered magazines. So like basically rounds can move side to side like that and like that and feed from either angle. But the majority, outside of one malfunction that we had in the first 2 magazines, was failures to extract. It wasn't failures to feed. We had one, but then after that it was failures to extract repeatedly over and over again. And basically, you know, after looking at the manual, I was like, I think I'm doing everything right. The gun was cleaned and lubricated before we went out to the range, and I proceeded to load the bags up again and keep firing. We fired a total of 300 rounds through the gun. I had one more malfunction after the first 2 mags. So first 2 mags, lots of malfunctions. After that, I had one malfunction in, what would that be, 240 rounds. So reliability is, I don't know, is the answer to that. I'm obviously bringing you guys this video as soon as I can because it's a new gun and everybody wants to know about the new Hardness. That said, what I plan to do is this month I will be ordering again from our friends at Firearms Depot, and I'm going to order a different type of ammunition. And I still have some of this in. I have a few hundred rounds of this left, and I'm going to try to fire the rest of this. And we're also going to try to fire a couple different types of ammunition to see if it's ammunition related or if it was just a break-in period. At this point, like if I was to tell you, for example, if we were to take out the first 2 magazines and I was to tell you, yeah, I fired 240 rounds through it and I had one malfunction, I would say that's probably about what you could expect from a typical rimfire gun in terms of reliability. So was it just a break-in issue where it had issues the first mag and then after that didn't? I mean, so far, yes, that's what happened, but I definitely want to do more testing to confirm that as we go forward, because one thing I didn't bring up already is, of course, with a rimfire cartridge, which 22 Magnum is, generally speaking, you're looking at less reliability, and that's just a design, or a byproduct rather, of the design of the cartridge. So it doesn't have a primer like a centerfire cartridge would do. And typically speaking, that can just lead to reliability issues. That's not like my opinion, that's a fact. And so if I was to come to you here and say, yeah, I had one malfunction in 240 rounds, which is true outside of those first 2 magazines, then I'd be like, yeah, it's perfectly acceptable reliability for a gun like this. But we didn't. We had more malfunctions than that. So I'm going to continue testing this gun and see what happens. So definitely stay tuned for that. And of course, the next question is, you know, do you recommend it? And my answer is, I don't know. It depends what happens going forward. And then who do you recommend it for? I can answer that one for sure. As to whether or not I recommend it, we will see in the future. But who do I recommend this type of gun for? Honestly, it's going to be pretty similar to what I said in my M&P 5.7 video. It's for folks who are, again, either new shooters, super recoil averse, have arthritic hands, are just scared of firearms in general. Now, one con 22 Magnum has coming out of a pistol, particularly, is versus like a 9mm or something like R380, is that it is louder. The concussion you get out of this barrel, which is under 5 inches, is going to be loud. It's noticeably louder than it is with 9mm. That said, it's very similar to what we see here with the 5.7. Now, will they be coming out with threaded barrels for this? I would think so. I would think they will, I should say, but I haven't seen them on Smith and Wesson's website, and I haven't asked them, to be frank. That said, I think they probably will. Would it be a cool suppressed gun? Yeah, it would, but even with this ammo here, it's still coming out supersonic, so it's not going to be quite as quiet as some of the other options out there. Now, compared to 5.7, just in terms of what you would expect for reliability, which has been true so far as well, is that I would expect 5.7 to be more reliable. That said, there is a big difference in terms of cost of ammunition. So like right now, you can find 22 Magnum for around 20 cents a round. Whereas right now, if you guys are following me on my social media, I think the cheapest I've seen 5.7 in a while has been like 47 cents or something like that. So significant difference in price. And historically, that's been true as well. 22 Magnum has actually gone up in price recently. 5.7 is actually coming down. So those are inverted, but historically speaking, and probably into a good while into the future, that will continue to be the case. That said, I think 5.7 will come down. If you guys are watching this in 2 years from that price point, who knows what's going to happen with politics. But outside of politics, I do think it will come down. So I think it is a gun, assuming that this one here is just a one-off in terms of reliability, that folks who are in that category, like we talked about, folks might want to look at somebody who's just wanting a fun, inexpensive plinker, but doesn't want to deal with 22 long rifle, wants some actual usable power out of it. It's definitely one I would look at, particularly being optics ready. If you're thinking of like small critter defense or something like that, or hunting, squirrels, things like that, survival type situation, this would certainly be a better option than a 22 long rifle. There's no doubt about it. The lethality of it would be greatly increased. That said, in terms of lethality, again, we're going to be going over to Mug Club here in a little bit and shooting some gel with it, talking about some ballistics data. So again, if you guys are interested in that, definitely check that out. And I think with that, for now, that is going to be where we're going to close the video out. Again, I plan on doing a part 2 of this to see what happens. And so if you're not subscribed, definitely subscribe so you guys can stay tuned for that. Additionally, if you're not following me on all my various social media accounts, I definitely recommend doing so. Typically, we do our updates there first before doing them elsewhere, simply because it's easier for me to put out content there than it is YouTube without doing a full production. Plus, when there's deals on things like ammo, guns, magazines, optics, etc., we throw that up on our social media. So, obviously we can't do that on YouTube. So definitely follow me over there. Also follow me for a lot of good news and stuff that we can't break on YouTube with every video. There's a lot of cool stuff going on my social media. Twitter's been good. Telegram's been good. It's been good. So there is that. Additionally, if you guys are subscribed rather and you're not seeing 2 to 4 videos a week here on the channel, make sure you sign up for my email at the website here on your screen. It goes out once a month and it has all of the videos since the previous month's email. As of when I'm recording this, it just went out right now. And basically that way there's no big tech giant censoring your eyes for my content, and it goes VFR direct from me into your inbox so you guys can actually see it. And lastly, we have our daily deals email. Sign up for that here at the website on your screen. It is fire. Everyone loves it. If you guys are following, if you guys are subscribed, let everyone know down below how awesome it is. Because we have a virtually 0 unsubscribe rate, which is like never the case with emails. But it goes out every day. And as of right now, it has 8 deals, 8 of the best deals that we find around the internet. If it's in that email, it's the cheapest I know of anywhere for that particular product on the internet on that day, because I do the price comparisons for you. So hopefully saves you some time and saves you some money as well. And yeah, definitely recommend you sign up for it. And that's pretty much all I got for you. Thank you all for watching. I truly appreciate it. Now piss off, YouTube.